first time, welcome to my YouTube channel. Please subscribe by pressing the subscribe button below, and do share these videos and like. So I really appreciate those of you who've subscribed and liked our videos as we continue on the series on forgiveness. If you want to know the foundational work of the subject of forgiveness, go to the video that I've shared as an introduction to the conversation of forgiveness. So today we're gonna go straight into the difference between kingdom forgiveness and worldly forgiveness, because those two aspects, there's a huge difference between those two conversations. There's a huge difference between the forgiveness of the world and the forgiveness of the kingdom. So let's jump into it. It's a conversation, so it's not a preach, and so hence I've got my notes and my Bible out. So Webster defines forgiveness as to cease to feel resentment against an offender. The Webster dictionary defines forgiveness as the removal of a specific feeling. So he connects forgiveness to a feeling. He connects forgiveness to an emotion. And so Webster defines forgiveness as to cease to feel resentment against an offender. That's the dictionary definition of forgiveness. He continues to say to give up resentment or to grant relief from payment. He takes the picture of when you owe someone money and then you release them of whatever that they owe you, like they don't have to pay you back. That's the picture that he creates when it comes to the conversation of forgiveness. And so the Bible has two Hebrew words that best describe the word forgiveness. One of the Hebrew word is the word nasa, which means to lift up. It means to carry up. It means to lift up the weight of sin. That's the Hebrew word to describe forgiveness. It means to lift up the weight of sin. It means to carry out. It means to carry the weight. This word occurs about 100 times in the Torah. And so the Torah are the laws of Moses, and that's the Torah. And the word comes from the word, so the Torah speaks of the laws of God, the laws of Moses. That's the Torah, in which if you look into the Old Testament writings, you will find the Torah. And so that word is mentioned about 100 times in the Torah. The second Hebrew word is the word kapar, which means to cover up. It carries the idea of the coat of covering. This word means to make atonement. And so what this word means, if you allow me to use this paper, what this word means is this is the sin, or this is the offense. You can see the offense, but to kapar it or to cover it means that you take literally like a form or a cloth. You cover the evidence of the sin, and this is this is an Old Testament description of sin. So in the Old Testament, sin was covered, but it wasn't removed. And so that's why the fact that it's covered, it doesn't deny the existence of the cup. The cup still exists, but it's just covered. And so that's the Old Testament perspective of covering, the Old Testament perspective of forgiveness. It speaks of a dimension of covering. It speaks of the dimension of putting like a source of covering over a weight of sin. Like the animals in the Old Testament, the sacrifice of the lambs, all they did was cover. They could not remove sin. All they did was cover. It's only in Jesus we find the complete, perfect removal of sin. And so those are the two Hebrew words. But if you come into the Greek word for forgiveness is the word aphimia, which means to let go. It means to forgive. This word means to leave behind or wipes away any memory of wrong. That's the New Testament description of forgiveness. The New Testament description of forgiveness means that it carries the idea of wiping away any evidence of wrongdoing. That's the New Testament description. So the word occurs in the first three synoptic gospel, in the book of Matthew, the book of Mark, and the book of Luke, and then it jumps and you find it in the book of Revelation. And so that's the foundational word. This word is repeated mostly in the New Testament, books. So God's divine definition of what forgiveness is stems from the word, stems from redemption. It stems from the idea of restoring a broken relationship. That's the assignment that God has when He speaks about forgiveness. So the concept of forgiveness appears about 146 times found in the New Testament. So the word forgiveness is mostly mentioned in the New Testament, about 146 times mentioned in the New Testament. Do you understand that the word forgiveness is the mostly mentioned word in the New Testament? And so the entire Bible from Genesis to Revelation speaks a message of forgiveness. It speaks a message of redemption within the scripture. So it's not only in the New Testament we find the concept of forgiveness. Here's another thought. In the Old Testament, in Numbers 21, we see the evidence, we see the picture or the type of the cross appearing in the Old Testament before it appears in the New Testament. How do we see this? We see this in Numbers 21, when Moses began to put a brass serpent upon a pole in the Old Testament. And then he invited the people to look upon the pole, to look upon the serpent, so that they may be delivered from the bite of the snake, of the serpent. That's the same picture we find in the New Testament in John chapter 3, verse 35. When John then writes and says, it says, like Moses created like Moses lifted up a serpent in the Old Testament, so shall the Son of Man be lifted before your eyes. Speaking about the cross. So the cross appeared in the Old Testament before it appeared in the New Testament. It appeared in the Old Testament as a shadow. It appeared in the New Testament as the antitype, as the type being fulfilled. And so that's the beauty of the scriptures. So the Bible has been talking about forgiveness. So these are some scriptures we find in the Old Testament. So in Genesis chapter 3, man falls, and God begins the redemption plan. In Genesis chapter 6, we see God extending forgiveness to Noah and his generation. Exodus 37, we see more evidences of God's forgiveness through the means of sacrifice, the means of animal sacrifice, the atonement of sin. Leviticus chapter 4 and 6, Numbers chapter 14 and 15, we see more references where God extends forgiveness. And First and Second Kings, we see this picture of forgiveness. The book of Second Chronicles, we see it again. We see the extension of God's forgiveness upon men. Psalms 130, we see His forgiveness in the Psalms. Joshua chapter 2 verse 12, we see Him showing us forgiveness. 2 Samuel chapter 9, we see forgiveness again. Proverbs chapter 17 verse 9, we see forgiveness being revealed. Isaiah 53 verse 8 to 12, we see again God continuing the conversation of forgiveness. And so the concept of forgiveness is revealed more clearly in the New Testament because it's revealed through the lenses of Christ, who does not cover sin. He is the removal of the evidence of sin as an existence. So the first book of Matthew opens with the message of forgiveness. The last book of Revelation closes with our position as a forgiven people. So the first book of Matthew opens with the conversation of forgiveness. The last book in the New Testament closes with our position as a forgiven people. So in Matthew, it opens the conversation of forgiveness. In Revelation, it closes as us being a forgiven people. So therefore we understand what it means to forgive more because we have been forgiven. If we don't know that we've been forgiven, it becomes a struggle for us to forgive another. So simply because we have been forgiven, we have a clear understanding of what it means to forgive. And so that's the beautiful thing. It was Jesus on the cross while he was being persecuted who said, Father, forgive them. Luke chapter 23 verse 24. Father, forgive them, for they do not know what they are doing. Do you understand that Jesus extended forgiveness while he was on the cross? He didn't extend forgiveness after the persecution. So while he's being persecuted, he says, Father, forgive them. That's the best description of forgiveness we find in the Son. So I want to talk to us about a few differences concerning concerning the difference between forgiveness in the kingdom and forgiveness in the world. Number one, in the world, forgiveness is earned. In the kingdom, forgiveness is given and not earned. In the world, forgiveness is earned. In the kingdom, forgiveness is not earned, but it is given. You don't earn your forgiveness in the kingdom, your forgiveness is given. In the world, I forgive you, but I stay away for my peace in order to protect myself so that you don't do it again. I forgive you, but I withhold any reality of having any relationship. So that's the worldly perspective of forgiveness. It means I forgive you, but I don't trust you enough to keep you in my space. So I forgive you, but I withdraw from any relationship. But in the kingdom, I forgive you and I press towards you in relationship. That's the difference. In the kingdom, I forgive you, but I don't need to protect myself from you. I press towards you in love and in relationship. So Jesus did this. Jesus, around the table, sitting with Judas, the man who's about to betray him, begins to share a cup with the same man. Shares a cup with the same man. And so he didn't see the need to protect himself from the from Judas, but he was able to forgive him and also extend himself towards in relationship. But this also does not mean that we are called to walk with everyone in life. There are some relationships that generally come to an end. There are some relationships that generally continue, but they should not be on the basis of whether you are offended or not offended. So, number 3, in the world, I forgive you, but if you repeat it, we are done. We cannot be friends anymore. But in the kingdom, I forgive you 70 times 7, even if you repeat the very same thing. That's the difference between the worldly perspective of forgiveness and the kingdom perspective of forgiveness. In the kingdom, I forgive you 70 times 7. That's just, it's not about the number, but it's about the mere fact that it speaks about eternity and beyond. It means that it doesn't matter how many times you do the same thing, I forgive you. That's the kingdom perspective of forgiveness. In the world, I forgive you, but I do not forget. In the kingdom, I forgive you and keep no record of what you've done. The Bible says in the book of Psalms 103 verse 12, it says, as far as the east is from the west, so has the Lord removed our transgressions. As far as the east is from the west. You understand that you can't walk from the east to the west. It means that it speaks of a space that is unreachable. So God has done that. He's extended forgiveness beyond space, beyond any space and time. And lastly, in the world, I forgive you with my lips, but yet my heart won't release you. In the kingdom, I forgive you with my heart and my mind. Let me go through these words again, these points again, so that you have them. Number 1, in the world, forgiveness is earned. In the kingdom, forgiveness is given. It is not a negotiation. Number 2, in the world, I forgive you. You see, the same point as point number 1. In the world, you forgive when you are ready. In the kingdom, you don't forgive because you are ready. You forgive because you are forgiven. Number 2, in the world, I forgive you, but stay away for my peace. In the kingdom, my peace comes from the Lord, so therefore I forgive you. Number 3, in the world, I forgive you, but if you repeat it, we are done. In the kingdom, I forgive you, even if you repeat it 70 times 7. Number 4, in the world, I forgive you, but I do not forget. In the kingdom, I forgive you and keep no record of wrong. Number 5, in the world, I forgive you with my lips, and yet my heart won't release you. In the kingdom, I forgive you with my heart and my mind. Thank you for watching. I hope you've been blessed as we continue this conversation. Please subscribe and please share this video. Thank you.